Hi guys, this is Dream Shipwrecked, and today we are finding out what this lever does. We're going back into the more puzzle section now, I guess. A little bit more exploration. We're doing this in the background, let's podcast a bit more about the design of the game. Last time we talked about the monsters, this time let's talk about the settings. Many of you have probably played Madness Returns, which is the sequel to this game. And while in a lot of ways Madness Returns is much worse than, this Alice, it does do a few things better, and one that I think is really good about it is the London scenes, which are all of the, little moments of clarity in between each of the crazy, fantastical murder spree versions of this. And for that reason, it's a much more plot-oriented game, despite the fact that it's padded to absolute shit throughout most of the entire experience. And it's funny because you kind of get a lot more context, because, you have this person who's deeply disturbed. Anyone who hasn't played the game, basically same idea as this one, except that Alice is much older now. She's gone out of Rutledge's insane asylum, and she's moved in with a psychologist who... should I spoil it? I won't spoil it. Bad things happen. Also, here's another great thing where I get stuck under the water wheel and slowly drown to death. Oh, Alice, why can't you make simple things? Why must your hitbox be the size of a Bradley tank? You really disappoint me, girl. Can't you even swim in full clothing? Let's try that again. The design is a lot, not as clean as this, but it's a lot less fun to play. I mean, okay, this one has kind of rough controls, but at least it's fairly tight and you actually get stuff done rather than fighting monsters completely all the time. But at the same time, we've gone through about half of this game, and what have we really gotten out of it in terms of plot so far? I mean, you have the original part where she falls into Wonderland, she meets the cat, and, the gnomes and all that, and she learns that their world has fallen into disarray. And that's important, because it's an establishing shot for what's to come later. I mean, you have, it looks kind of creepy, but it's not really, very well... I'm trying to say very well established, but honestly, it's mostly this game just looks like shit. I mean, this is early 2000s graphics, and therefore, it's kind of hard to... Everything looks the same. I mean, you have a grand castle and one that's completely torn apart, and they all look very similar, so... Having people actually talk about the starvation and all that is very important. Furthermore, you just end up with... Furthermore, what the hell am I reciting a speech from high school or something? This is what happens when I broadcast by myself. There's just really not that much going on. She finds a key, she gets smaller, but why does she have to do that? Well, it was in the story. What does that have to do with her, madness or whatever? I mean, she, at least at that point, she's still tangentially related to Alice, her, former, I guess still current persona of a girl in this little crazy dreamland. But from then on, it kind of becomes like, oh, what's the point of the school? Well, I mean, you have some of the demonic creatures and all that, but really it's just padding. And I don't even say that in a bad way, but... a lot of this stuff just doesn't have any reality to it. I mean, if anyone can find some sort of parallel between this and her, mental struggles, for example, the centipede, millipede? I don't remember what it is. Centipede, I think. Boss, or, the whole river section, which I guess is part of her Veil of Tears story in the original book. But, I like things with meaning. Like I've said in the thread earlier, I like things that actually represent stuff, like the crawling figures representing stuff in the binding of Alessa in Silent Hill, stuff like that. it's kind of hard to define this game as a horror game as a result. It's more like I don't know, I guess it depends on how you define the horror genre. Because I'm a massive horror junkie, I absolutely love it. The thing is, I like them I like them stories that involve a lot more psychological things, as you can probably guess, and less of the gory, Saw 3 kind of stuff. So something like this, it appeals to me in theory, but interestingly enough, coming back to it after having not played it for a long time, it still appeals to me mostly in theory. I mean, it's a fun game, and don't get me wrong, I certainly enjoy playing it, but it kind of loses its luster when you start thinking about it. Also, here's some of the original drawings. On the left there is Carol, I believe, and the right it's the Mad Hatter Tea Party. They do change a little bit. Right on the right there is the rabbit, and then this side is the actual, character art for this game. So I guess something's to be said for parallelism. Although I don't think it really applies on this side, because the cat, I don't know. Oh well, I guess I'm overthinking it. Most of the paintings I don't think mean anything, just the ones in the front. That one actually might be the one where, it's one about sleep paralysis, where there's an imp on a woman's chest. But I might just not have read the texture correctly because it's such a low quality one. The monsters here fall back into line, and it does get better once we start being introduced to the Jabberwock and the Red Queen, as I said, but I don't know. I will admit that I am a little bit disappointed. I believe that's the French king or something, I don't remember. And it's just not... This guy's a thing in the back of his head. It's just not really what I remember. It's kind of why I avoid playing games that are older, just because... I don't say I avoid playing them, but... Like, there's a game that I used to have for the PS2 that called Ghost Hunter, which I loved to death. I'm pretty sure if I go back now, I will probably hate it. But first, let's watch its cutscene.
Help us, please. The Red Queen's forces are strong and show no mercy. Our own queen is in terrible danger.
I saw her captured. I'm sorry.
Without her generalship, Red wins. We're doomed.
As am I if I can't pass through this realm. I must collect the pieces to the Jabberwock's eye staff.
Free the White Queen, Alice. That would help us both.
I'm not really a player. What are the rules?
Rules? There are no rules. There's barely any strategy. No time. Make a frontal assault on the Red Castle. I won't lie to you. You'll meet deadly traps and fierce opposition along the way.
Should I be grateful for the truth? A lie or two might have been more persuasive.
In war, truth first. There's always time for lies later. You won't face the enemy alone. Carry this soldier to the White Queen.
A mere pawn is the best I can hope for?
I'm afraid so. Now return as you came. The rooks know the way.
Alright guys, see you next time.